Well, of course, the big news this week was the election, the presidential election. Obama was able to get another 4 years. And, I don't think you should worry about, as far as the market is concerned, the market really doesn't pay that close attention to who's president. And in fact, if you look at history, Democratic presidents in charge have equaled to a stock market that's gone up more than a Republican president in charge. So I don't think you should really worry about that too much. It depends on the industries and the sectors he's going to influence. Also, and that was a big deal. Also, though, what really probably hurt the market this week was not the results of the presidential election. It was more what's going on in Europe, where the economy was the economy next year in Europe is going to be flat when it was initially thought that it was going to grow 1%. And that was a surprise. No one thought that, everybody assumed that 1% was in the bag, and that's not happening. Surprised everybody. Add to that, the Greek parliament almost just barely passing austerity measures. They haven't implemented much of them yet. But now it's a question, are they going to give Greece the money, more money? And I have a feeling that's going to happen. I don't see how that's not going to happen. But they're arguing over that again and debating on that. And the Greek economy is gauged to get worse than they thought. Now, they've been downgrading that economy, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Well, that to be expected, because there's no stimulus going on, that's for sure. But it's much ado about nothing, but it does affect how people look at the market. So this week we had a pretty good drop in our market. It still hasn't even been a 10% correction. I know it probably feels like a lot worse than that, but we're down about 8%, 7.5% from the high for the S&P 500. A 10% correction would be normal. I have no problems with a 10% correction. That's a health restoring event. A 10% correction. Remember, we had a rally all through the summer. Now we're just having a health restoring event. The biggest issue on our plate now is, of course, the fiscal cliff. Now, that fiscal cliff will cause volatility in the market, and it will be a big issue for the politicians, the market, the economy. So it's going to be a big issue. So it depends on what happens. Now, what are the outcomes? What are the possible outcomes of the fiscal cliff? They could do nothing. That's probably not going to happen. They can agree to push it back. I think that's possible, pretty strong possible. They could come to some compromise. I think that's possible too. Those two scenarios are probably going to happen. It's just going to be a matter of how long it's going to take for them to get there. And during that period, the stock market's going to not be comfortable. It's not going to be comfortable. We're also in the strongest part of our year for cycles. We're also having pretty decent economic numbers that are showing improvement over the summer's economic numbers, better employment, those kinds of things. So don't worry about it overly much.
If you're an iPhone user, there is now an easy way to get InvestTalk delivered right to your iPhone or iPad without having to sync the device to your computer. This feature can allow you to listen to InvestTalk right away, as soon as it's published, every weeknight. Here are the easy steps to get this done. First, make sure you have installed the latest iPhone update. You then can download the podcast app from the App Store. You can do this as you would add any app on your iPhone or iPad. Once you have the new podcast app installed on your device, if you're not currently subscribed to InvestTalk, just search for it in the search box. And remember, there are 2 T's in InvestTalk. Make sure your subscription is turned on and the auto download is also turned on. Your episodes will now be delivered automatically as soon as they're published. Let us know how you enjoyed the InvestTalk podcast, and do us a favor, leave us some feedback on the podcast in the iTunes Store. We love hearing from you, and thanks for listening.